A mask, a machete, a figure who never runs because he simply never has to. Summer Camp built one of the most recognizable killers in horror history and actually has spent the last 45 years since then trying to build a worthy successor. Some of them have come close and others have crashed and burned. But tonight we have 12 killers, 4 tiers, and only 2 who get to be worthy of legendary status. Welcome to our ranking of Summer Camp slashers. Summerween greetings and salutations, and welcome to Hacker Slash. If you're joining us again, welcome back. And if this is your first time listening, welcome to the party. We are a horror movie review podcast typically dedicated to telling you whether a movie is a hack,
total joke, a waste of time,
or a slash.
Totally killer, pun intended.
My name is Chris. I'm your friendly neighborhood slasher enthusiast, and this week I'm joined by the classic horror connoisseur, Sean.
I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
And the paranormal paramour, Binks.
And you're like 45 and you still go to summer camp.
A couple weeks ago, we drafted what we felt were the best summer horror movies, and today we're actually narrowing our focus down to ranking the slashers who terrorize campgrounds. We're not talking about the films they came from. We're not even talking about how much we really like them. We're not even talking about their final girls. We're talking about the people or the vessels who are actually behind the mask or holding the weapon. To be on this board and qualify, you actually have to clear 2 very simple things. You have to hunt at an actual camp with a name, a staff, and a season. And you are a physical embodiment and character, not a curse and not a fog. So we'll actually be sorting our killers into 4 different tiers. We have our camp legend tier, which if you were to pull them out of horror history and camp slashers end up looking different. They're not necessarily your favorites, but they are load-bearing within the genre. Then we have head counselor material. So yeah, they run their camp, they do it effectively, they're memorable, they do the job. Maybe they're not the elite status, but they certainly have an impact. Then we have should have stayed home. The idea was better than what actually showed up. So they had a great concept behind them, but they didn't deliver it and they didn't live up to their full potential, the expectation. And then we have, for the absolute worst, banned from camp. These are actively bad. They're embarrassing to even have in the conversation. Now, our camp legend caps at 2 categories, and at least one of these people is going to get banned. Those are our maximums and our minimums. But what we're going to do is I'm going to actually introduce each killer. We'll have a brief discussion around who they are, what they're all about, and then Binks and Sean will be the arbiters of their fate. Are you both ready?
Ready.
Ready to go.
All right, let's get started. First up, we have Angela Baker. Now, Angela Baker made her debut in Sleepaway Camp 1983. Maybe people are seeing the first 3 films, but there's technically 5 in the franchise. Yeah. More than 25 years and more than 50 kills.
That's a lot.
Hello. That is a lot.
Angela Baker, yeah, it's a lot. I think Sleepaway Camp, it's definitely a memorable franchise. It's, for me, like we're probably debating between head counselor material and camp legend, to be honest, when you're really looking at it, because it's Angela Baker is, I feel like, one of horror's most shocking, the Sleepaway Camp has one of horror's most shocking endings, but also she has a very quiet, unsettling presence. There's some really genuinely memorable kills in Sleepaway Camp. Even Camp Arawak feels hers, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like just any camp. Like, it definitely has that feel to it. Not the biggest killer, but definitely one of the most unforgettable killers that we have on the list. So she could go in either of those top 2 categories, but I'm curious on what you all think.
No, I mean, honestly, if we want to be real 100 right now, this one's an easy one for me. It's an easy choice. I know exactly what I was doing when I watched this movie for the first time. I know exactly the look on my face when I saw that ending. This movie, I mean, Sleepaway Camp is fucking gnarly, man. And granted, I would imagine, I haven't finished all of them, right, in the franchise, but if I know anything about some of these slasher franchises, that as we go along, it's probably going to go a little south. But to be honest with you, I feel in my heart of hearts that that's just a name, and she sticks it through and is just like an impressive, very terrifying killer. It's shocking, if anything, and that's like the big bit for Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, there's a lot to go into her, and that's where I want to pause for a moment and point out a couple things, right? So for each killer, we're gonna go through the look, a signature aspect of them, perhaps what they remember for. We're gonna make a brief case for, brief case against, and then this is gonna really help our audience tie over as you both deliberate. So just to recap this here, Angela as a character, we're gonna define Angela in her debut. Angela was the quiet kid. Nobody really suspected her. Nobody looked twice right up until the last 90 seconds of the movie, which is pretty significant.
Yeah.
If you look up the name Angela Baker, you're going to see who she becomes because there's the original actress and then the actress who took over beyond that before the original came back through. So there's so much that goes into not just the franchise and the movies, but the character. Angela Baker is arguably one of the only actual, like, real characters on this board beyond being like an undead person, a camp legend, like a myth, an urban legend, etc. Everybody else, by a comparison, ends up being an unstoppable force with a weapon. Where Angela has an entire life story, a history, complex childhood traumas. Not to say that Jason doesn't, but there is a reason, and the movies make you really sit with all of it, right? So again, those 5 films, she actually has more appearances than anyone else here except for Jason.
Mm.
So I think those are the easy things that you think about, like with being an icon.
Sure.
But the problem here, and this is where, as you deliberate, and I want you to weigh in, 3 of the 5 films are really hard to defend. I would think, honestly, even for me, only the first one is the one that I really, really enjoy. And the character changes so much across everyone who plays her that you can almost argue you're ranking 2 different people. We're just ranking one. We're just Angela Baker as a whole. So I think it's worth considering. Where do you think you want to land her?
I mean, it's some good points for sure. Like, there's a couple of movies in this franchise that most people probably don't like that much, but Sleepaway Camp, the original, is just really it's a good one. So like that could almost save Angela Baker here. So it is a tough one. There's arguments on both ends. I don't think there's any argument to drop her any further than head counselor, but I'm still on the fence. I'm still on the fence between camp legend and head counselor.
I already said what I think. And the truth of the matter is like, okay, so as I expected, maybe the more recent ones are, the last 2 of the 5, whatnot, aren't that great. But you bring up a good point about some would say that maybe we are judging 2 different characters.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the young kid that we're talking about, the quiet kid, that is strong enough. We were just talking Sleepaway Camp. If there were no other movies, I still feel very strongly about the legend that is Angela Baker. Like the name, the influence that movie alone and her character itself has had in horror. That's legendary to me. Just saying. And we're starting off strong with this one. We're kicking the game off right to the top.
True.
Knowing that we can only have 2, but I don't know. I feel like I get it. It's tough. Maybe we want to reserve our Camp Legend spots, but
I guess let's have a clarifying question here. Can we shift things around as it goes on, or is it cemented?
I'll allow you a final pass at the end.
Okay. Well, I think then I'm kind of with Binks. I think that Angela Baker should be in Camp Legend material.
I have a strong feeling that we're not going to change our minds.
I would be concerned if Angela Baker wasn't in a Camp Legend, to be quite fair. I'm not judging you, but I am a little concerned.
Exactly.
Okay, so listen, first killer in. We're already 1 down. We've taken 50% of the Camp Legend spots, and I'm actually now a little bit concerned about who you pick for the second. Because you have a couple different options you can go. I mean, it shouldn't be. I thought we should have started with someone else entirely, but here we go. Our next killer, we will get there. Our next killer, we have Billy Murphy. And Billy Murphy made his debut in The Final Girls from 2015. Again, we did an episode on this movie, Camp Bloodbath. He has about 16-ish kills, 8 of them before the movie even starts. And the thing that really has to set him apart in Sean Binks, I can't recall if either of you were on that episode. This is a killer with look-wise like ornate mask. He has a
Mhm.
machete, and he actually has a sick musical sting that announces him every time because he, in his signature, is that he's a slasher who exists inside a slasher movie, and the characters know the rule he has to follow. So there's a meta layer there.
Yeah. I don't think we were on that episode, but
Mm-mm.
definitely a fan of the movie. I think the Final Girls is a fun one to watch for sure. It is tough. I always want to say Bill Murray for some reason, but it's okay. I'll get there. I can read. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think it's definitely not giving Camp Legend for sure, but definitely has some pros for sure. That it's just that fun, like you said, that fun meta take on kind of like a Jason type of deal. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun. I like it. I don't know.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen this movie. However, just getting the vibe and the little bit that I do know of the movie and what you've even shared, definitely not Camp Legend status. Can appreciate the meta of it all, and maybe there's like something to say about the Scream similarity to that, but the musical tune to announce himself, and most of those kills happen before the movie really begins. Does that give, does that even give head counselor material? It's given maybe you could have stayed at home. You could have stayed in your other movie, you know?
Maybe. Maybe. Listen, he is the only killer here who is explicitly a construct of the slasher genre. And you mentioned it being like almost like the scream element of it.
Hmm.
There is a resolution to his fate and then a comeback to really be both a joke and a thesis on slashers as a whole. So there's a lot to value here, I think, for Billy as a killer. Now, he is a commentary on camp slasher and not just camp the place, like camp the thought,
Hmm.
camp the vibe. It is a level of camp. If Ryan were here, she'd be like, "What the fuck is this guy even doing?" Every quality he has was actually designed on purpose, so nothing about him is discovered and really new. He is the product, and he is the sum of all parts of all the camp slashers that came before him. So he's
Hmm.
kind of what you get when you study the genre instead of innovating within the genre, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that being said, that changes things because now I can respect just the idea and the construct of that character. At face value, wasn't really giving much. But I was actually going to ask that question since you guys seem to have seen it. Like, was it the camp of the camp? Is that his whole bit? And it
Yeah.
seems like
That's
yes,
the point.
which means yeah, which to me is all right. Now we're talking head counselor material. How are you going to have a full summer camp and not have a counselor that knows the camp?
Yeah. It's definitely Final Girls is I think intentionally simple. It definitely is like a film that represents every classic camp slasher. Basically, it is basically the generic camp slasher done very, very well with a lot of like the meta kind of involved in it. So it is fun in that regard, and it's a good movie. So yeah, I think Bill Murphy should land in the head counselor material. I agree. I think that's where Bill would go.
Binks, are you aligned?
I am. Shockingly, what a twist.
Okay. All right. Here we go then. Head counselor material. I am so excited to see how this pans out. Okay. Next up, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Cropsy. Now, Cropsy
Mm,
debuted in The Burning from 1981. First, have you both seen The Burning? No, Binks, you haven't seen The Burning.
yes.
So Cropsy starts out, it actually covers a couple different campgrounds in this movie. There is Camp Blackfoot, which is like the inciting incident for Cropsy, and then Camp Stonewater, where he exacts his revenge. Now, as a look, Cropsy is one hell of a guy. He's,
He's
for
a
a
good
large
looking dude.
portion, so good.
Handsome.
I think, is this what they call looks maxing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Listen, Cropsy wears a coat and a hat, and he actually hides his face until the end of the movie. And of course, he's known for the garden shears. this is a weapon that he wields with a lot of ferocity. So we even have the signature moment in The Burning, which is the raft scene.
Oh
6
my
people
God.
dead in about like 5 seconds.
So
It is the
good.
reason why the film landed on a nasty list. It
Yeah,
is this movie is known for the raft scene.
for sure. It 100% is. The raft massacre alone can it can earn Cropsy potential legend status. Potentially. I don't know. I'm not saying it gets there. Not saying it gets there. I'm just saying that raft scene alone is enough grounds to have an argument.
I gotta see George Costanza with hair, and I gotta see this raft scene.
Yeah, I actually just rewatched The Burning yesterday, and I really enjoyed the time that I had with it. It's more of a slow burn kind of movie. Now,
Yeah.
just some things to consider. The kills in this movie are fast and they are joyless. They don't linger in a lot of things. There's not a lot of taunting. There's not a lot of theatrics. He comes, he goes, I came, I saw, I conquered is essentially his vibe. But something that is interesting, and Binks, I don't know if you know this, Tom Savini had the opportunity. He did Friday the 13th, the first one.
Yeah.
He could have done Friday the 13th Part 2, and Tom Savini turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 specifically so he could do The Burning.
Nice.
And the rap sequence is why he wanted to do The Burning.
Of course.
Oh.
A lot to dig into here, and again, we're not judging like the movie or the characters within the movie. We're talking about just this killer, right? For
Yeah.
Cropsy to pull off the technical execution that is required to pull off that raft scene alone, I mean, I think we could have gotten a lot more burning films, and we
Yeah.
would have seen a lot of viciousness from this guy. But that's the downfall, right? Like, we have limited exposure to him. He has one movie, one weapon, no franchise. If you
Yeah.
ask 100 people to draw a camp slasher, nobody's drawing Cropsy. It's just not happening.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Like, I think, yes, one movie for sure. That is maybe a negative aspect in like the legend status of it all. But at the same time, it's like one of the greatest campfire legends. It's so good that, and you said Tom Savini specifically chose to do this movie over another Friday the 13th, and it was fantastic effects by Tom Savini. Like, you have to see this. And I think actually, I don't know, like maybe I'm just advocating for the movie too much, but I feel like if you ask a lot of like big time, camp slasher 80s horror fans, you're going to say like, what's your camp slasher of choice besides Jason? Cropsy might come up quite a bit with those people. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying necessarily legend, because we gotta keep legend status for like the creme de la creme. You know what I mean? Like the people that really cement that spot. But I think head counselor material for sure.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I want to be clear on my stance on Cropsy. I value The Burning as a camp slasher horror movie. I don't know that I like super value like Cropsy is like a number one for me personally. But that being said, what he does within this movie, I mean, I think this is a better Friday the 13th movie than a lot of Friday the 13th movies.
Where are we landing with this one? Because I feel he goes into head counselor material for me.
I'm gonna go off of you guys' good faith because I mean, at face value, I would probably be the audience that would tell you if you were to ask 100 people to draw Cropsy, I would not give you anything good. But somehow, I probably would still end up drawing Cropsy because he looks like a disaster. He looks like something that if I were to watch the movie, I'll never forget that face. That's literally a nightmare. Tom Savini is a very big sell on this one. You got me. That's a trap card. So I say, let's settle him into head counselor material. I think we're starting really high, guys. We're starting really high.
We're starting with big names here.
We're starting with big names, apparently. Well, not apparently, yes. So it's just the fact. I'm very scared for what's going to come next.
Well,
we have to send somebody home.
Listen, what's coming next is it only gets bigger from here because it's time to talk our boy Jason. Jason Voorhees. It is actual Jason, not catfish Jason. Jason Voorhees, the movie that Tom Savini with Cropsy declined doing Friday the 13th Part 2 is when Jason actually makes his debut. He has a bunch of films. His kill count depends on how you count and what you count as canon. He's had multiple looks throughout his career. He starts with what I actually have as a tattoo on my arm, which is Sackhead Jason, and then evolves into the logo that ends up being the hockey mask.
Yeah.
You already know Jason, even if you don't know Jason. That is the entire argument about his reputation. And if you want to think about even a signature kill, how can you? Because we all have our favorites with a sleeping bag. I mean, he eventually goes to space. I'm not going to count a space kill right now. But the sheer creativity that we see from Jason throughout his franchise is undoubtedly notable.
Yeah. I mean, the definitive camp slasher, really, for really talking about it here.
I mean, well, damn, I kind of teed up that one with we gotta move somebody to home, but it's certainly not gonna be this guy. I mean, that would be absurd. The concept of Jason is the creator of the whole genre. I mean, we do have the
He's-
first movie.
He is the
But-
fruit of the loins.
He's the
Yeah.
fruit of the loins,
Yeah.
So I know that I've got my thoughts and feelings about this franchise. If I really wanted to be a savage, I could say that most of the movies he doesn't even really hunt at a camp. He's like in space or Manhattan or who knows what and where, So there is that argument, I suppose. But I mean, what? You guys are you both wearing Camp Crystal Lake hats right now?
Yeah.
I actually bought
Jesus.
this last year and saved it for this episode.
Incredible. There you
First time I'm
go.
wearing it. And this shirt too. It's a Camp Crystal Lake shirt. Saved it all for this episode, knowing that we'd have some good shit coming. Listen, Binks, you're not wrong. Jason Voorhees is the reason this episode exists. And someone had to walk before he could run. Every other killer on this board is measured against him, whether they want to be or not. He is the price of admission. Now, something that I think you're cluing in on here is there are a couple controversial takes, potentially hot takes you can have when it comes to Jason. Some might say he's the least interesting character in his own franchise. Some might say. Some
Okay.
might say he's a mama's boy. I'm kidding. I love mama's boys. They're great. Respect to mothers. But Camp Forest Green in Part 6 is the only film in its entire franchise where he's actually hunting a working camp with kids in it. To your point, most of the time he's at a lake, he's at a house, he's at a barn, he's in Manhattan. That's not even to say even like the kill count, because you have to determine if you want to go off screen or not, dream sequences or not. Is the remake and like the reboot, like is that something you want to qualify? Depending on where you land, Jason has killed always like over 100 people, but somewhere as low as like 118 to 171 people and counting, because we still have
Right.
more Friday the 13th and Jason Universe content to come. So
Yeah.
listen, there's a lot here. I'm not saying that I'm changing anyone's mind on where he should be. I know where I think he should be, but I think there's just a lot that you have to A, honor when it comes to Jason, but also B, recognize that there are others in the subgenre that kind of innovate on top of what he's done.
I mean, there are others for sure. There's others to talk about within the franchise. I get it. I totally get it. In the subgenre, the franchise itself, all of that. But it's, we're talking about Jason. We're talking about, Jason from Friday the 13th Part 2 introduced the iconic sackhead look. I feel like every, we've already like touched on this, but, when we're talking about Jason Voorhees, every summer camp slasher owes something to Jason. Every single one of them. He owns Camp Crystal Lake. It's whether or not he had a bunch of movies at Camp Crystal Lake, you can't not know Camp Crystal Lake. Like it's still that popular, even though it only, you know what I mean? Like it's still there. Without Part 2 of Friday the 13th, I feel like the entire subgenre probably doesn't even exist the way we know it.
Take, but one that I agree with. Listen, I want to go back to the survey that we just did with Cropsy. If I were to go ask 100 people to draw Jason, they could do it with their eyes closed. That's a name that you've probably never even seen the movie, and you know exactly who I'm talking about.
100%.
I think there's only one answer here.
Yeah. You got to go legend status.
There it is. No, legend. Banned from camp.
You
We're not
gotta
trying to
go
get
legend
canceled.
status.
Keeping you on your
Legend
toes.
status.
And then at the end, we'll rank within each tier. Don't worry, we'll do
Okay.
that later. Okay, so moving on to our next killer, we're going from Jason to Johnny. Now, Johnny,
I
if you
already
don't
know where you
know,
all are gonna be with this one.
yeah, there's,
Don't even.
there's a lot to dissect with Johnny. I'm so glad that I'm letting you all pick this. Johnny debuted in A Violent Nature 2024, Camp White Pine. Now, the thing and where I was really reserved with Johnny is because it wasn't really giving camp. It wasn't giving camp in the way that we see like Jason, Angela, etc. But we also have in A Violent Nature 2 that is definitely taking place in a summer camp environment. So there's going to be more summer camp to come for Johnny. He is, oh my gosh, he has like 8 kills that we see approximately on screen, and at least 20 more that are referenced that happen before the movie even starts. Now, he does have a great look about him where Jason had the sack head and the hockey mask. He has a rotted like fire mask, and also you spend 90 minutes walking behind him in his back. So you
Innovative.
see a lot of his silhouette. Is it innovative? Yeah, it's something.
Innovative.
Yeah, that's a generous term, Sean.
That's a choice. That's a choice of a word.
I
Well,
mean, listen, I know this is gonna be a back and forth, and we're gonna have to land on something. He's new. We only have the one movie so far. We have another one coming, but he's already built a reputation because of the kills that we got in that movie. Whether you'd like to, travel along behind him or not, the kills were memorable. So it is still kind of a tough, it's kind of a tough argument here. I think it's some of the nastiest kills in modern horror.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Sean. I'm not okay. I think you might expect what my opinion is on this, and I don't think my opinion would match what you think it is of me. But I also want to be clear that I only remember like one kill from that movie, which is insane because I fucking love slashers. But for us to be able to say it's some of the nastiest kills, period, there's one really fucking intense kill, and then
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's true.
brush up on the rest.
That's true. That one
Yeah.
stands out the most for sure. If you're trying to
Because
remember, yeah.
Yeah, because they leaned into that one to get you to try and go to the movie to see it. They trap card you. But the rest, they must have been pretty standard because can't recall a single one other than the kill. Now, I will say, I suppose that it is kind of new and well-known-ish because it's one of the more recent films that have just come out, and the way that they did this movie, making you feel like it was a video game type thing, right? The POV of the killer, sure. But I would argue that this movie is well known because it's so bad and he's so boring. So I can try my best to be very nice and say, should have stayed home, but I really think he should be banned from camp. I also want to say, as someone whose name is literally translated into white pine, I feel like I really should be heard, okay? Because it did not feel like a camp me or a camp at all. Maybe the second one, fine, but then we revisit this when the second one comes out. But for right now, I'm talking In a Violent Nature. Or In a Violent Nature is missing camp, and a good slasher. All three things.
That's tough.
Okay.
That's tough. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that he's missing the slasher of it all. The slasher of it all was there, and the camp was there a little bit too. There was the scene where he's like that they're all coming together and trying to attack him, and you get that different kind of perspective or point of view, and they're like trying to like attack and throw something at him. It just bounces off. He's like, "Are you fucking idiot?" And then he just fucking takes him down. Those are actually some really good moments. But here's the thing. I know there's no way that I'm going to get anyone to align on anything higher than should have stayed home. So I will settle for should have stayed home, but he is not going in banned from camp.
Fine, we'll meet in the middle.
Wow, what a healthy compromise. I want to point out that I did not think that he needed to be banned from camp, specifically because of the yoga kill and the yoga kill early. Actually, no, his costume design was also pretty solid. And there's one additional scene that
I'm
I'm
telling
thinking
you,
of.
y'all watch Modern Horror Icon in the Making. We'll see. It's
They need to
happening.
do better, though. They need to do better. There's a lot
So
that
much
was left
better.
on the table.
We'll see what they do. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. If it's Glimmer Ring 3.0, I'm out. But let's go and turn our attention to the next one, which I don't know if you've seen this movie. I have not, but I have respect for those who have nominated this and drawn our attention to this character. Madman Mars.
The
Started Mad
madman.
Men
He's
from
mad.
1981. His stomping grounds are the North Sea cottages. He
So
has
cool.
7 kills, which is pretty low on the board, but he is really a hulking backwoods thing with long nails and an axe, and he feels more monster than man. And to
Oh
my
yeah, this guy. Okay.
okay, so you know this guy. Great.
Yeah. He looks like a weird mountain man troll thing.
Yeah. Yeah. To my
Yeah.
understanding, there's a specific kill with the hood of the truck, and there's someone underneath the hood, and he lands on top of it. So just imagine, let your brain explore what those two things could do together. Sounds pretty fucked up.
It does sound pretty fucked up for sure. Yeah, I mean, doesn't really have, Jason's popularity for sure, but I think, this movie probably nails the atmosphere of it all. And come on, North Sea cottages, so cool, man. It sounds different, Sounds refreshing.
He sounds more of like a folklore thing though.
Exactly. He's literally a campfire legend.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up because he was originally ideated and conceptualized to be Cropsey, but then the burning beat them to it.
Ooh. Interesting.
Wow.
That I did not know. That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
Damn. That's kind of a shame. So like we put Cropsey high up, but this is the real OG. In a way.
A similar time.
Similar time.
They're doing things
Kind of like
similar time.
Yeah, like Critters and Gremlins.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's actually a really great comparison.
That
The
is a
Critter to
good
get Gremlin
comparison.
pipeline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I
Dang.
mean, 7 kills though. That's pretty low.
Well, it's one movie. The average kill count in a lot of movies is somewhere in that 8 range, You don't always get a lot. There's some
What do you
Friday the
think?
13th where we don't get more than that, so
That's fair.
it is possible.
I'm leaning towards should have stayed home, to be honest with you, and here's why. I don't feel the head counselor material, the infamy of this character, but I don't think they should be banned from camp when they literally are a campfire story in a way, right? So like should have stayed home. Maybe you get brought out every now and then, once every couple summers, but I'm not very passionate about them to be a head counselor.
It is tough. Yeah, I don't know. Madman Mars, he's like exactly the kind of story counselors tell campers to keep them in their cabins. You know what I mean? It's this kind of guy.
But is he the guy?
He's I mean, he's got a presence. He's got a presence. It's a tough one for sure. Admittedly, it's not like the one thing I'm going to be recommending anytime I'm trying to build a list. It might be if I had to put like more than 5, I don't know. That's tough. Yeah. I think there's argument for head counselor material, but we have still a lot of movies to go over. So maybe he lands in should have stayed home for now. Maybe we'll reassess.
I'm with you. I get what you mean. I'm with you. It doesn't feel 1,000% right like it did.
I feel like some of the people listening are going to say head counselor material.
That's fair. Maybe we'll change our minds.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry because our listeners are also going to be able to make their own tier list and share that back.
Let's see how close we get.
Now, next up on our list is the woman who pioneered the summer camp slasher genre. And this is where we really need to give flowers where they're due because we have Pamela Voorhees, the original antagonist in Friday the 13th, 1980, Camp Crystal Lake. 9 kills to her name. She rocked a blue sweater and a smile, a motherly disposition, and it is a disguise that works for 80 minutes. Her whole signature is the reveal itself. Everything about the Friday the 13th franchise and what is in its DNA, straight line back to Pamela Voorhees. She is the twist before summer camp slashers had twists. Pamela's son drowned because counselors weren't watching, and every single thing she does is a consequence of that. She started all of it. I mean, granted, she's only on screen for about 13 minutes in her film, but it's a 13 minutes of screen time that launched a 12 film franchise, a hockey mask, this episode, and a Crystal Lake series that's coming out in October. So do what you will.
Yeah, she started it all, technically. She did start it all. One of horror's
Damn.
greatest twist villains.
That's another plot twist that'll knock you off your ass if you've never. I mean, there's got to be people that still haven't seen it, but
And
I say again,
you have to be behind her too. Like you can't like
yeah.
not reason with that, I mean, to an extent, but
No, of course, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. It's actually turns out a villain that, as Chris said, like a motive that you can kind of make sense of and understand. Oh boy.
yeah,
I mean,
I knew this was going to be
obvious
tough.
legend.
I knew it was going to be tough to because
Yeah.
like, can we have even both, Pamela and her son in Camp Legend? You know what I mean? Like, is there
Yeah.
room enough for the entire Voorhees family here? I don't know.
I feel like I still stand behind what we've got for Camp Legend,
Yeah.
truthfully. And although she is the mother that birthed such a thing, the son is what carried on the legend.
It's true. Would this franchise have become what it is if we didn't shift to Jason? Maybe. We may never know, but I don't know if we would have gotten this far without the icon of Jason, the mask, the direction that it went in, the backstory, the trauma of it all.
Let's also pause to remember that Pamela Voorhees was a critical part of Friday the 13th Part 2 and has reappeared over the years in these films.
She has. She became part of the story that enhances Jason's story. You know what I mean? Like it shifted from just like her revenge to like now she's kind of like fueling Jason's undeadness.
And being exploited by Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
Really.
that is true for sure.
The thing that you have to consider here is there a Jason without Pamela, and is there a Pamela without Jason? And they're not mutually exclusive. Like they go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. They're a package deal. Because if you have Jason without Pamela, then you have Michael Myers. Part of who Jason is as a character is so intrinsically tied to being this sympathetic character, this kid who drowned, and a mother's love and a mother's quest and thirst for vengeance and punishment is really carried him through.
Yes, that is true. She's only, really killed in one movie's worth of counselors, but she did launch an entire franchise. But the question also is like, how many people, when you rate the whole Friday the 13th franchise, are picking Friday the 13th as the number one pick?
Me. People is me. Myself and I. But I'm not
a lot of people.
But I certainly am not I don't know if it's a lot of people, if I'm a lot of people,
I don't know.
because we know my feelings. I'm actually going to make a point where it's going to be crazy, but I actually feel like there is a Friday the 13th franchise. If we were to tell a story where a sympathetic kid who drowns came back, and yes, there is this level of vengeance that is instilled because of the mom, but again, that's one movie out of 12.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think that the scales here do actually tip in terms of what is more likely to have actually occurred. A franchise of just a mom seeking revenge, 12 movies out, there's no way.
Well,
it wouldn't
that's
have
what
made
I'm
it that
saying.
long. But like, we could have been without Friday the 13th, the first one, and still had 11 movies.
Yeah.
And to your point, Chris, yeah, it just would have been another Michael Myers. But guess what? Is Michael Myers not one of the most famous slashers icons in history?
He
Absolutely.
is.
So,
but you have to distinguish yourself from that, because remember, Friday the 13th, like part of what made that movie work was them originally saying, oh, we just got to take Halloween and reverse engineer it and make some money off of it. And then them introducing Pamela Voorhees was the distinguishment and the differentiator there, because if they did make another Michael Myers, he never would have taken off. Like, you can't put Jason without Pamela as he was in that movie. It never would have been as successful.
She needed to be the springboard, but when we're talking about the 7th, the 6th, the 5th, the 11th movie, to be honest with you, I'm definitely forgetting that he is a sympathetic character, that I'm forgetting the whole even lore to him and the Pamela of it all. She does reoccur throughout the franchise, sure, but I feel like the aura that is Jason shifts as the franchise moves along, and that whole archetype of him gets a little bit smaller in the pie that makes him up. So that's why I feel like she's more head counselor material,
Yeah.
the top of the head counselor material. You
Yeah.
know, like I started this camp, but I've actually retired and now I'm just a teacher at the camp. I'm trying to lay back,
The teacher
get
of
my
the camp.
pension,
Yeah.
you
Oh
know?
man, not the pension. I mean, yeah.
But
I mean, if
Yeah.
you could slide her into the first slot of head counselor.
Don't worry, we're gonna slide her over in just a moment. But before we do, we want to finish out the rest of these here. I want to move on now to another Jason that you see on the screen, but this is Catfish Jason. There's a case to
Okay.
be made here.
Okay.
Roy Burns, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, 1985, from Pinehurst.
The wrong beginning.
17 kills.
Lots of kills.
He dons the hockey mask. He has the blue chevrons instead of the red. That is the tell. Nobody really catches it until it was later revealed. He ends up being revealed as the paramedic who had about 60 seconds of screen time before the mask ever came off. So you see him earlier in the movie. But let's really zero in on this because 17 kills is more than Pamela Voorhees, more than Cropsey, more than Madman Mars, and more than Jason himself in his debut film. Whatever you think of the reveal, he outworked most of the people on this board, and his motive is the same one that made Pamela work. A dead kid nobody protected, a dead kid nobody cared about. Now, granted, he is a catfish. He's a fake. He's a phony. He's baloney. The
Yeah.
film is built honestly as bait and switch, and the audience hated it enough that Paramount brought Jason back the very next year. Pinehurst is also a halfway house, not a camp, so he like, barely clears the gate at all. But I think Roy Burns needs a little more respect on his name than maybe he initially gets.
I get it. He's not a bad killer. He's just the guy who had the impossible job of replacing Jason. And I think that's where it goes wrong. Tons of kills for sure, but some good kills. You know what I mean? I think that's the separator there. Like lots of kills, high kill count, but only some are good. You know, it's a tough one. You're just forever living in Jason's shadow as trying to be a killer in the franchise, and it's the franchise's most controversial killer. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing by any means, but here's the thing. You're technically employed, but HR has concerns here. I think this, for me, we have to make some tough decisions here. We've talked about a couple things in this franchise, let alone summer camp slashers as a whole. You could put this in should have stayed home. You could also argue banned from camp on this one, to be honest with you.
I would have thought that we had this one in the bag. But I guess there are some cases here. 17 kills is a lot, especially when you outdo the king. In the second movie, though, at the end of the day, a phony's a phony. All right? At the end of the day, he ain't the real deal. Do we really want fakers in this camp? I'm just saying.
He did kill people. I mean, what? He's
but
he
co-opted the look.
He is
fully.
a killer. Let's
Like completely. I'm not talking homages. I'm talking actually and factually.
you can argue should have stayed home just for the the kills, I guess.
All right.
But it
I
ain't
can
going
bite.
higher than that. There's no way.
No.
He's lucky. He lucked out here.
He's lucky. He one wrong move, buddy.
I guess, the other thing is it's really hard. What movie or what killer deserves to be banned from camp? That's the question, folks. We need to figure out who is going to be banned from camp here.
And that's why part of this is just the journey in itself. And that's why I'm not reordering things, because as we start to go rank within each, you may want to reconsider some things. Now,
Fair enough.
our next person here is the Camp Pineway Killer. Now, you may see and you may hear a lot of pine in these titles, but this is from the film A Hell of a Summer from 2025. You know it as Finn Wolfhard's directorial debut. This killer rocks a devil mask and a trench coat. And even the opening moments present a hell of a kill. A guitar shoved into the camp owner's mouth.
Love it.
Before a single counselor has arrived. Now, this is the most recent entry, and it's the freshest in our memory. The devil mask is genuinely good design in a decade that really hasn't produced a ton beyond In a Violent Nature and Johnny's Mask.
Yeah.
Now, a case against it, I think the killer's kind of weak. Now, I'm not saying the masked killer. I want to throw it back to Scream. And when we did the episode where it obviously takes place in New York, I thought best masked Ghostface, worst unmasked Ghostface. And I think that is the case here, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
There's also a secondary killer. And listen, when you need a coworker, I don't think you're a legend unless you're Ghostface.
True. I mean, you're making some good points here. It's the tough thing, right? Like, it is a recent entry in the genre. Just hasn't had enough time to become like truly memorable, I think. I think if you ask me in a few years, maybe it simmers a little longer. Maybe we get another installment at some point. I don't know. It fits the genre well, for sure. It's entertaining. The Pineway Killer of it all, Hell of a Summer, we love it. I just think probably should have stayed home material right now. I don't think it's earned itself anything more than that yet, but that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually enjoy the movie, but it's not one that I'm like coming across first in mind when I think of camp slashers. The killer specifically, I mean. And you bring up a good point. I mean, really, it's two of them. And are they really super strong? The motives there were very Scream. You know, that's the thing, is that the setting is great, and I liked the camp element. I think it does it well. But in reality, on paper, this is giving more of a high school slasher or a Scream of it all, right? And I think I'm still leaning in that direction for this. Like, this is not really giving full camp just yet. It needs to simmer a bit more. It needs to cook. So I think it needs to be home to do that. It's not banned from camp. Again, I don't think this is a banned from camp contender because it's a good camp movie, and it's got some good entertainment and the vibe for it, but the killer themselves, it's not it yet. It's just not it.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
think
we're going to end up with one in banned from camp, and I have a feeling of who it's going to be.
Oh, I can't wait to see who that is. Listen, I think this is a movie where if you're looking at the movie itself or the protagonists in the movie and the great comedy that's in that movie, this tier list would obviously rank higher. But I think
Yeah.
to appreciate a killer for who they are and what they bring, I think this is well placed. Now, our next contender here is again a movie that I haven't personally seen, but I was really excited to hear about because when we think about summer camp slashers, the theater kid community, big fans of Stage Fright from 2014, which is a musical theater camp. This is the Center Stage Killer. Apparently, he also screams metal over his own kills. The soundtrack is diegetic. There's no signature weapon by design. He uses whatever the theater produces, whatever the theater gives him,
An
which
artiste.
means exactly. And that means that every kill is specific to the setting instead of a machete in a different room. So I think that is an interesting angle here.
Fair.
So a very small body count, from what I can gather, about 4 confirmed kills. I can't wait to watch this movie and dive more into it later this year. But he does score his own kills, which I think
Yeah.
is an important thing to note. This is either the best gimmick and the best bit on this board or the reason he's getting banned.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. Buddy Swanson, great costume for sure. I feel like the owl mask is super memorable, but the killer is not quite that iconic.
I listen, I'm all for theater camp. Shockingly, maybe to some. But I'm not hearing like camp though. To me, theater camp that could be during the winter, that could be at any point in time. That could be an episode of Glee at this rate. Like, I'm not hearing the same kind of camp that we've been talking about and just describing. And I cannot believe that he screams metal over his own kills. I am so afraid of the secondhand cringe that must sound like. I'm terrified.
I want to point out for just a moment, because I think this is the perfect place to interject. You may notice that missing from this list is the killer from They Slash Them, because that was
Okay.
camp and I'm not honoring it.
Okay, no. Right. Fair enough.
Did
Absolutely fair enough. Okay, that's so crazy that you said that. I actually did have that thought. I was like, where the fuck's Kevin Bacon? But I love our principles and I stand behind that. So that would have been a ban from camp either way. So good for that.
I
Yeah,
pre-banned.
pre-banned. Yeah, I don't know though. This is not leaving me feel inspired that they should have even stayed home. This is giving you're at the wrong camp.
Mm. It's a tough one. It's a fun concept for sure. Does the movie fully capitalize on this killer? Is this killer quite in that space? You know what I mean? Like, has it left its mark fully on the genre? I don't know. It definitely can be banned from camp. This could qualify as our first ban from camp.
I think it needs to be,
It wasn't
guys.
initially the one I was thinking of, though. So, man, it's
No,
interesting.
I think maybe let's see. I do have a guess, but banned from camp, banned from. Oh,
Yeah.
could you imagine?
Yeah, I guess banned from camp fits. I mean, it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
No. Look, I like the theory and the concept. This sounds like a movie that maybe I would, fuck with. It's just that I might die from the cringe, but it doesn't feel like it's exclusive to actual camp. You could say that this is just a theater class that's going through this experience, and I would believe you. Did that make sense? Like, I don't
Yeah.
really feel camp here. It's not even giving like camp rock. It's just theater class. I don't know. Maybe it's my naivete that I don't really quite know this movie, but I'm going off of the vibes. I'm going off of the look. None of that tells me camp.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I think we're gonna have to do. Our homework assignment before we do our Summerween bonfire is going to have to be watching Stage Fright and then reassessing. If Buddy gets banned, then we need to lock in the banning. You know what I mean? We have a moment to
Fair enough.
reassess because he wasn't even originally on my radar. He is someone who got recommended by our community. Is like, oh yeah, summer camp, like absolutely, it's Stage Fright.
Well, yeah, it makes sense. It's a camp movie, you know.
You know, representation for the theater kids. I should
Yeah.
have been a theater kid.
Sure.
I was not. I lacked the confidence, and I want to honor your confidence in Buddy. Okay, so next up, second to last killer here, we have the cheerleader camp killer. Now, this is from Cheerleader Camp 1988, Camp Hurrah. There's
Yeah.
9 kills. The killer is a cheerleading mascot. That's it. That's the bit. That's the costume. And what is significant is the last shot of the movie, not unlike Angela Baker.
Yeah.
The killer is seen in uniform, cheering at dawn while their best friend is driven away in the back of a police car because the killer gets away with it.
It's a decent
Mhm.
reveal for sure.
Yeah. I mean, apparently, some say the movie's bad. The reveal is visible about 40 minutes away from the ending. There's no consequences in this movie, and we get the last shot of the movie. But I mean, listen, what's a fun 80s slasher without a little bit of comeuppance?
For sure. I mean, listen, there's a lot of 80s slashers out there that, you know, are either, you know, really good or they're really fun or they're really good and really fun or maybe they're just like kind of filler material, maybe they're just decent enough and I think this one is kind of in that realm. It doesn't really stand out to me. Cheerleader Camp doesn't stand out to me as like it doesn't stand out among other camp slashers, especially ones that we've talked about. I think it's perfectly a serviceable movie for this genre. Like if you're going to build a list of movies to watch, I'm sure this will land in there at some point, but it's not I don't think the killer here is someone horror fans talk about all that much.
I just feel like if I had those thoughts, and my stance on the theater camp of it all for stage fright, I don't know how I would be able to walk that back for cheerleader camp. You know what I mean? I personally feel like I have to hold them somewhat at the same level in terms of is this actual camp or is this just I'm spending my summer at my extracurricular activity type feel? I mean, this actually does sound pretty interesting, though. I do like the plot twist of it all. It's giving a bit thriller, but I guess bad. I'm curious about it,
It's a fun
but
slasher for sure. It's just not
yeah,
quite at the right level of like some of these ones that we're talking about. You know, when we think of sleepaway camps and Friday the 13th and the burning and things like that. I think it's in the realm of should have stayed home. I think that's where it probably should land. I don't think it's a banned from camp movie. I just think it just doesn't stand out to be in a top tier.
I'm leaning towards banned from camp, but I mean, I'll trust you. I don't know. I'll trust you.
We can reassess, so don't worry. Our last killer here is the one and only Tommy Slater from Fear Street 1978. And Tommy Slater, if you don't know, is the Camp Nightwing killer. A body count of 12. He rocks a sack over his head, not unlike Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 2. And he also has an axe. Again, a deliberate reference. What's unique about him is that most of his victims are children. That is rare on a board where we're comparing summer camp slashers. And his kills against kids are not played for fun. They're fucked up. And
That's true.
it is hard to watch. It is not something I enjoyed watching. Really good movie, difficult to see, and he was brutal. He
Yeah.
is, I think, the best. He has the best executed camp massacre of the streaming era, hands down. It commits to the 1978 era completely instead of just winking at it, instead of nodding and nudging at it. Obviously, we have our direct callback to Jason with a sack head. And he, again, is the sum of all those who came before him.
Yeah.
The thing about Tommy is that he's not really doing any of it. He's a vessel. He's possessed. He is afflicted by the witch's curse. His soul got sold without him even knowing. So, do you still give him full credit for that?
I think it's great though. I think it's like this added layer that you don't always see. I mean, to be fair, like, okay, yes, you're being controlled in some way by this witch, but also to be fair, in a sense, Jason Voorhees is in a sense also kind of being controlled by his mother in some way psychologically. So it's not that far off. It's just a different take, a different kind of telling of that. And I think Tommy Slater, Fear Street Part 2. Well, Fear Street as a whole gave us one of the coolest new camp killers in years. Let's just be honest. So Tommy Slater, really good. If we're putting this in the mix, it's effective, intimidating, probably one of the better modern mass slashers. Really great visual design. I think there's not a lot of bad arguments here. Fear Street was such a fun little 3-part dealio, and it was very cool to go through different like eras and intertwine those stories, and this being a standout for me, it's pretty easy. But I'm curious, Binks, what your thoughts are.
No, I'm with you. I actually was super excited to see that he was on here because he's pretty gnarly, man. Talk about fuck them kids. It's crazy. I feel like this is a really good, more modern day camp slasher movie
Yeah.
and character. I really don't think that the fact that he's being possessed is a deterrent for him being a head counselor, personally. I think he's very much head counselor material.
Yeah.
I think the movie itself revitalized like horror on the streaming platforms. I mean, God, we were at a tough time during quarantine, you know? There's that too. So I feel like we were dying to get at summer camp and just kind of feel some kind of joy again. And well, there was some chaos with this movie and what he did, but I don't know. I feel like this is a really memorable one. Him as a character, just like the way that his kills were happening. Oh gosh, it's all just so brutal.
I want to point out for a moment, as we look back on the rest of our list, we have Jason, who was a camper. We have Pamela, who worked on the campgrounds. I believe she was a cook. We have Cropsy, who worked on the campgrounds but was not a counselor. We have Angela, who in the first film is a camper, who then becomes a counselor later. But this is, for Tommy, the only time we really see him is he is in full counselor mode. He is in full I am loved by everyone mode. He has a great relationship with his girlfriend Cindy Berman. And when we spend so much time with him as a counselor and just as a person in this space, to then see how vicious he becomes, I think it's also a unique angle versus some of the other campers that we've seen on here.
Yeah. I mean, it's for me, it's easy. It's head counselor material for sure. That's where it has to be.
I'm with you.
Okay, so we have our list. Now, so far, going home, we have banned from camp. Actually would probably be the banned camp kid. It would be the center stage killer. Then we have in Camp Legends, we have Angela Baker and we have Jason Voorhees. Now, what we will do is go tier by tier and organize within the tier to validate and confirm that we also have the right structure here. So let's start with our camp legends. Do we think Angela is more or less legendary? This is like a silly question than Jason Voorhees.
No, I think Jason slides to the front.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, looking here at head counselor material, of course, we know that according to you, Pamela Voorhees leads up front. But then where do you rank Billy, Cropsy, and Tommy?
Hear me out. I think that Tommy should be next. Again, recency bias, sure, but I do feel like Fear Street is something that people talk about. It's, again, a little bit more recency, but it really landed the camp vibe. And like you said, he is the counselor, the actual counselor. I feel like there's something to it.
I mean, it's a good argument. It's definitely, for me, it would be between Tommy and Cropsy, but that's fine. We can put Tommy there. That feels okay. But then
I am with you about having Cropsy next.
Yeah,
though,
but I think Cropsy would have to be next if nothing else.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we still feel Billy is well placed in this tier by comparison?
Yeah,
I'd say so. Body count's still kind of high. Still feel like, again,
the campiness,
commentary
the
on
meta,
the actual camp.
It deserves its place there.
All right, now going in, the people who should have packed their bags and gone home, we have Johnny, Mem Bars, Roy, and we have the Camp Pineway Killer, and then we have Cheerleader Camp. How do we feel about our order?
Well, I'm sure y'all probably want
Johnny last.
Johnny somewhere towards the end there.
I
I think he should be up at the front, but
I actually would have thought that we would want Madman Mars first, just because he is the legend that is told at the camp. Like
I probably would put Madman before Johnny, and then Johnny next for me. But yeah, and then the rest of the
we should put Roy a little bit further back there. All right, no, am I a hater? I'm a hater. Don't.
I think the order is good, and then it's just like now we have to.
I just feel like we really do feel like the.
I think you're onto something though, Binks. I think that Corey Foster from Cheerleader Camp could have a banned from camp argument.
Right.
Technically, the reveal isn't particularly that memorable. The kills are fairly standard. I think the movie itself has become maybe more of just like maybe a cult curiosity more than a classic. So maybe that actually joins, stage fright there. Just drop that one down.
Just take a look at it. Just
after that.
I don't.
No, like that. I think is good.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Somebody might hate us for that order, but that's fine.
Yeah, maybe.
That's fine. I think the order feels good now.
Looking at it, that just looks right to me. That looks like it makes.
It's a little too even. It's like 2, 4, 4, 2. It's very strange.
Well, we're Virgos and Type A. What do you want from us?
And a Capricorn, 2 Virgos.
It does look good. It does look appealing.
and Capricorn is facilitating. Listen, this is it was only meant to be.
It's giving we like summer activities, but we don't respect different types of camp.
Which is crazy. Hold on. Because this is a perfect opportunity for me to make a disclaimer. As someone who went to art camp, to theater camp, by the way, I was the person that would go to the extracurricular activity camps. I went to cheerleading camp as well and dance camp and all the things. But guys, I mean, take a look at the bulk of what we've talked about. It's general summer camp.
Yeah.
So could you, this is just not that camp.
Do you even have general summer camps anymore?
No.
Can you even send your kids off to camp anymore?
We can also go to adult summer camp.
Oh my gosh.
Is that really a thing?
It's really a thing.
Yeah, isn't that just camping?
Yeah, but it's like
a retreat
with more people and you get drunk.
Yeah.
Really? I'm Googling this.
Rent a camp out.
I personally would love this. And here's what I really want to do for us. I want to tell you what I want to manifest here. The actual location where the original Friday the 13th was filmed.
I know we talked about this.
Does tours. They do night tours and they do sleepaway camps.
Cool.
And I would love for us to do that.
That sounds really fun. And there is actually a Florida adult summer camp. It's called Camp No Counselors. It's an all-inclusive premium adult summer camp experience in Florida.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. It seems like something I Googled once and it ended up not fleshing out very well. So we'll have to do some more digging. I think it was actually in Hell of a Summer or in A Violent Nature or in Fear Street. One of those 3 recent movies that we did an episode on, I looked up adult camps in our B-side. So we'll have to revisit that.
Interesting. Wait, so does this does this Camp Crystal Lake thing, how many people does this host?
You can do a small group or you can do a big group.
Man, because that would actually be like if we were ever going to do another meetup
That would be the meetup.
with a
I
live
love
show
it.
there.
Damn.
be kinda
Yeah. Could you
cool.
imagine? And we just do like a review of a Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah, because I'm sure you can watch the
fun.
movie there too. I'm sure they
You
have that
can.
set up. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I think they're actually doing one this year on the Friday the 13th in November.
Nice.
There's a
That
lot
would
to
be
dig
fun.
into here. So
Okay.
we're going to live our best camp lives and we're going to look forward and see when we can be our own camp counselors. But for now, there you have it, folks. That's our ranking of the summer camp slashers. And now it's your turn. We've included a link to our tier list in the episode description. So please go build your own. Tell us what we got right. Tell us what we got wrong. And give us your top 2 camp legends.
Absolutely. If you want to find out how you can go further than this episode, if you want to join us, we have a lot of things you can check us out. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/hackerslash. You can join us in our subreddit. This is all this stuff, including bonus content, early access, extended episodes with our B-sides on our normal episodes. You can do movie nominations, live shows, take part in these fun episodes, and more. Just a great time, everyone.
We'll see you around the campfire, folks. And remember, eat shit and live.
If I had my way, they'd be pumping your ass full of formaldehyde by now.